So it should be live. Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is our very first STEMsation Spotlight. Yay! And so our first guest is Jordyn Smith. And I want to just introduce myself. I'm Nikisha Washington, CEO and founder of Knowledge Innate Enterprises, where our mission is to inspire and encourage young ladies to have confidence, character, and class and become future leaders, whether that be STEM leaders or just leaders in the community. We're going to get started. Hopefully, you've already read our wonderful article about Jordyn. She's doing some amazing things. And so we would like to just welcome Jordyn to STEMsation Spotlight Live. So, Jordyn, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Jordyn. Like she said, I am a software engineer at Microsoft. I just graduated from North Carolina A&T in May with a bachelor's in computer science.
You go, girl.
I'm very excited to be here.
All right. Let's go. So what we want to do while we're just starting, since this is our first time, we really want to connect with our STEMsations that are out there. And if you don't know what a STEMsation is, a STEMsation is a trailblazer that's in the fields, the science, technology, engineering, and math fields. But they're not only tearing up the field, they're doing it with style and grace. So that's why they're called STEMsation. So if you could look at Jordyn, you could tell she's definitely a STEMsation. So we are thankful to have her here. Yes. So we're going to ask her questions about her current career, reasons why she chose the career, and some things that she would change or things that she would like to see different in the career, because we know being women of color in the STEM fields that we're underrepresented. And so we want to make sure that we are encouraging the next generation, go forward. You can be scientists, you can be doctors, you can be software engineers, you can be cosmetic scientists. You can do all those things. And we definitely want to not just spotlight our STEMsations, we want to stay in touch and hopefully have them mentor young girls that are going into the different STEM fields. So we're going to get started, but we want to welcome Jordyn, especially since she's our first STEMsation live. And so I think this is a very great opportunity to connect with STEMsations throughout the country. And so we're going to get started. And our first question to Jordyn is, why did you choose your current field? And you could kind of give us the background of what led you up to this particular field, because I know a lot of us change. We think we're going to college for one thing, and then we go for something else.
Yeah, so for me, it kind of started in high school. I attended a camp at the University of Illinois the summer before my junior year, and it focused on robotics engineering. That's what they called it. And we got to play with the NXT Lego robots. And you build the robot, but you also get to program it to do different things. Like you could just move around, it could follow colors and things like that. And the coding involved in that was mostly drag and drop. So it wasn't like the coding that I would do at work. But it really got me interested in coding. I loved every second of it. I went to a couple camps that was hosted by them, but that one was my favorite. So I asked the people who were hosting it, what is this? Like, how do I get to do more of this? And they're like, oh, this is computer science. Like, you should definitely look at it for college since you're, coming up to that point. And for the most part, that's what I decided to do. It changed a little bit freshman year because I also had an interest in business marketing. I thought that was something I wanted to pursue, and I knew that computer science was going to be very difficult. So I was a little intimidated by it. So when I entered into school, I did so as a marketing student, but by the end of the first semester, I was bored. Like, I was not challenged. This wasn't what I really wanted to do. I was like, why didn't I just go for computer science in the first place like I wanted? So second semester, I changed, and ever since then, it's been all comp sci, and I've loved every second of it.
Outside, yes. I just want to say I had a similar experience all through middle school and high school. I was very interested and I love science. And so I had one of my favorite science teachers, Mrs. Smith. She really got me interested in science. And so I would go to those same type of camps that was located at Purdue University. And I would do like all kind of summer STEM camps. And I really loved it. And so I actually was going to be an engineer. But then life happened. And then I ended up saying, well, I had kids and got married, and I said, well, I'm going to go ahead and still stay in it, but I decided to teach, which was best for my family at the time, but I still connect with, comp sci and engineering because I did like Java, and back then we had to learn Fortran, which is a very old program, but it was something that engineers use. So I can definitely relate to what you're saying and stuff. So, all right. We'll go to our next question. So for those that may be wanting to go into the particular field that you're going into, what do you like most about your field?
For me, computer science is exciting because I'm able to, without sounding a little creepy, I'm able to kind of control like what it is that I want the computer to do. Like within a few statements, I see, boom, this happened. And very immediate feedback. And it's really exciting to see that, like, okay, well, if I type computer, say the word red, it says the word red. Like, that's just fascinating to me. Like,
I remember that, yes.
To do that, I'm blown away. I'm like, oh, I did it. I got it to do what I wanted to do. Like, and I do this on a daily basis, but every time I do it, I'm excited about it. So,
yeah. And like I started back way before you. But I remember when we were doing like Fortran or something, and it's like when you just wanted to say, hello, my name is, and it was like repeated over and over. We were so excited, like, oh my God, like just to put your programming in there and then for the computer to do what you say is really exciting. And you're like, oh my God, I did that. I did that. Exactly. I definitely relate to that as well. That's great. Now, you know, I know you're just getting started out and you mentioned that, you know, you just graduated. Hey, HBCU, yes, hey. So I know it's still early, but what do you see yourself? What are your future goals?
I kind of have a few. I would like to see myself become a senior developer at some point.
Okay.
That's kind of a ways off. Right now, I'm really just wanting to explore. Like I said, I work for Microsoft, which I don't know if you know, but the company is huge. Like there's so many.
Wow, that's very impressive. Good job.
But yeah, there's so many different areas I can work in. Right now, I'm in the Azure space. I can go into Xbox. I can go into Windows. Like there's just so many places I can see myself being. And that's really what I want to get into now. It's just kind of every year or two being able to switch teams and kind of explore. And as I'm doing that, working my way up to senior developer. But in addition to that, ever since I'm about middle school, I've always had this goal of getting into animating as well. So that's kind of something that I've been put on the back burners a little bit because I've gotten into software engineering so heavily. But that's something I still want to pursue at some point. I'm not sure how I'm gonna work it in there, but it's still there. I haven't gotten rid of that goal.
All right. So what I want to ask you, because I know you keep mentioning senior developer. Mm-hmm. Now, for those of us that, you know, may not know what senior developer is, could you explain that a little bit more?
Basically, it's like a developer that I am now, but you're over other developers. So it's like you're the go-to, the tech lead, more or less, on projects. And yeah, that actually really
right. So you're like a supervisor. You like the head person, and that's what you were saying.
Like a lot of teams would have project managers, which, you know, cover the project as a whole, not just on the technical side of things. The senior developer kind of covers the technical side. I guess. Okay. The best way to describe it. Yeah.
All right. So you're more technical. Okay. This question kind of got out of order, but in your current job, because we think about your future goals, but what would you change about your current job?
Like I mentioned in the article, one of my biggest pet peeves, I guess, about my work is that I'm stuck at a desk. I absolutely hate that. And I do have a laptop that does allow me to be a little bit more mobile, but it's just not as easy to work on it, so I don't do it as often. But aside from that, I would love to see more women in senior positions. So like I do see a lot of women working in the field, which is great. I love that. But when you get higher up in the ranks, it's predominantly men, and more likely it's white men. So I would definitely love to see women of color.
Yes, we're coming. We're coming. That's our goal, is to get more. Yes. Now, for those of you that, you know, for those of us, I might say, that explain like your setup. Like you work for Microsoft, like is it a cubicle? Like explain like your typical day. Like, you know, like how does it set up? Like how do your seat, your desk, like, you know, just put us in like Jordyn. What does she do during the day and how does it look? Uh-oh, did you hear me? Uh-oh. Jordyn, did we go out? Uh-oh. We might have lost her. Hopefully she comes back in. I saw that it looked like she's in Washington here. I think she's coming back.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. I was like, Jordyn. But explain a typical day. Like, I know this wasn't on the article, but since we can talk to you, I really want to, as a programmer for Microsoft, which is awesome. Like when you walk in the building, like, just explain your day, just how does it look? Like, paint a picture for us.
So typically the minute I walk into the building, I, settle in a little bit. I always start off with a cup of tea. That's just a preference. But once I log into the computer, I usually check email because there's a lot of people who prefer to work overnight. So there's things that'll develop and continue on while I'm asleep. So I'm checking the email, seeing what has continued on without my being there. And for the most part, I just pick up where I left off from yesterday. So I kind of set out little goals for myself on what I want to accomplish in a day. And typically, even if I don't finish an entire feature or an addition to the project, there's steps I would like to make towards that by the end of the day before I leave. So if I haven't finished or wasn't able to make that goal yesterday, I continue on to it. Otherwise, I set up new goals for myself and start working on that. And I'll work on that for about an hour or two. And then we have what are called stand-up meetings, which kind of varies from team to team. But with my team, we'll do a stand-up meeting every morning for 15 minutes. And that's when everybody gets to go around and say, what is it that they've accomplished? What is it that they're currently working on? Where are you stuck in that process? And if anybody can help you, and what do you plan to do after that? Excuse me. And so we'll do that for about 15 minutes.
That's nice.
Yeah, and a lot of teams don't do that. I've found it to be very beneficial, though. And then after that, lunch, and then after lunch, we just continue on with developing. So it's not a very complex day, but I can try to fit in as much as I can.
Okay, yeah. All right. Well, that sounds great. I mean, that's just so exciting. I know you kind of touched on this a little bit before, but I know, like I said before, we're underrepresented in the STEM world. So there's a stigma about just, women of color, especially African American women, that, because of reality TV and different things, people have this picture that they've painted of us. How do you combat the stigma of being a woman of color in STEM, especially in your current position?
Yeah, so in my current position, I'm actually the only woman and the only person of color on the team.
Wow.
So walking into that was, I don't want to say intimidating, but it was a little off-putting. I was like, dang, I'm the only one. All right. I represent. That's how I took it. And every day I'm able to contribute something, make a little bit of gains here, a little bit of gains there. And I think that in and of itself shows that I am just as capable as anybody else on the team. Women of color are just as capable as anybody else on the team.
Yes. Go ahead, STEMsation. I see it.
So for me, I think it's all about showing up and showing out, doing your best, and don't let anybody cast any doubts upon you because you are able to do the job. But outside of that, I was a lot more participative of it in college, but I did various projects in which I would talk to girls about being in STEM, like at the YMCA and things like that, different volunteering events such as that. And then I also made a game my senior year that starred a woman of color in college as a computer science student. And it's kind of like a Galaga style game. So, you just move left and right and shoot the But
that's awesome.
Yeah. But the setting was that she was a woman, little black girl at school, and she specifically was a computer science student. And me and the team that I worked with to do that senior year were very intentional about that. We wanted to make sure that we highlighted the fact that this was who she was, especially because Black women are not just underrepresented in STEM, but also in video games. You rarely see a Black woman.
We're never like the hero. We're not.
Yeah.
tackling
So
everything.
that's very important
But
to
I
us.
was a sidekick, if we even
Right.
invited to the
Always a side character. So I guess that's what I did in school, and I guess moving forward, I wanted to do some kind of mentoring program. I still haven't found one in which that I've been able to, that I would be able to join. But yeah, that's about it.
I just want to go back to, I know, even though I'm a science teacher, I just noticed in my community, and the one I was in Indianapolis, as African American science teacher, I was like one of two in the whole district. And so my friend Sharice Anderson and I were like the only ones. And so when we would leave out of the district for some reason to come back in, like I would either leave her as the only one or she'll leave me. And then if we both will leave, there's no other. And so that was something that we tried to, come back to, like, and show them that, you could be in science, you can have your hair done, your nails done. We would go in there, not portray the normal science teacher look, like we got these, if I had glasses on, they were definitely, stylish glasses. Like it was still my personality, but it was amazing when I started back in 2003. I remember walking into the school and I was at the computer and printing out paper, and everyone looked at me like I was an assistant, like a teacher assistant.
Yeah.
And I was like, they were like, well, who are you helping today? And I'm like, no, I'm a teacher.
Right.
Teacher? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, and I said, I teach science. No. And I was like, yes. And this was 2003, now 2018. And I just left that district. And it's still only 2 women of color that are science teachers in that district for secondary. So the middle school and the high school, and it's a big, it's 16,000 students. And when you only have that limited representation, and that's kind of like my mantra lately, representation matters. If my students didn't see us doing this and we didn't encourage them, then they wouldn't be going into the fields they're going into now. And I just want to do a quick shout out to some of our former STEMsations that I definitely have to get them on camera. Lacey Watts and Stephanie Richmond, they were in my 7th grade class. Now they're going to be cosmetic scientists and OBGYNs and different things. And so that's just amazing to me that, and even Lacey always said, I remember your 7th grade class when we had to do the model of the cell. That helped me in my college class. So that brings me joy. But like I said, I want more representation. And so, like you said, the best way to combat the stigma is to come in and show up and show out, but show out in a professional way. Like I don't have to cut you down with my words. I don't have to be nasty, but I definitely want to show you that I'm just as intelligent and just as worthy of being at the table as you are. So I do appreciate what you have to say, because I believe that's a lot of our situations and a lot of what we all, as soon as we walk through the door, they're like, oh, they don't know what to expect, but hey, we're very professional and we can definitely do the job. So I definitely agree. And so this kind of leads to the next question. And I think you might have hit this. Some tips and advice for the girls that are coming, behind you, because, I've been a while, but, the same things that I saw as I was going through college and entering the workforce, kind of give them some tips and advice on how they can make sure that they're being successful.
Yeah, so like I said, it's honestly just about doing your best and coming forward with that confidence that you do have a seat at the table for a reason. You have a voice, it matters, and being able to show that. But I think another advice that's specific to computer science is that things change very often. Like there's a lot of times that you'll be working on a problem and you're like, okay, well, this is how I should do it. And then somebody somewhere off, wherever they're at, comes up with another way to do or fix that same issue. And it's more efficient. It has these benefits to it versus the way that you were going about it might not be as good anymore. And you have to be willing to be open to those new ideas and willing to learn them. I've had that just in the few months that I've been at work. We are developing this website and it uses, excuse me, the tool that I originally was using, I was familiar with. I was like, okay, well, I can get into this. I can add things a lot more quickly because I know how to work with this tool. But we come back a few weeks later and they're like, well, actually, we're going to convert over to this tool because it's more beneficial, it's more efficient. I'm like, I don't know that. But I've been very open about it. Every day I'm doing different research and applying it and, trying new things. And that's just the nature of the industry in general. So if you're coming into the computer science field or just technology in general, you have to be open because things move all the time.
Yes, yes. Before we get into your fun facts and stuff, we do have some questions. So I do want to take questions from the different comments. And so Rashid Taylor says, do you feel that you have to overachieve more than your peers?
I would say I used to actually. My first internship that I did while still in school, I felt that I had to be 2 times better, than everybody else in the field. And I think as I've gone through it and have developed more confidence in myself and in my skills, I realize it's not necessarily necessary anymore. Just doing your best, honestly, I think is the best way to go about it, because if you're constantly trying to outdo everybody, you're going to tire yourself out, and then you're not going to be able to produce like you want to. So just showing up and giving your 100% most of the time, if not all the time, I think is better than trying to outdo everybody.
And that's what I think too with Knowledge Danae Enterprises. We talked about building confidence in our young ladies, especially starting in our young girls, because that's what it's all about. Like what you're saying, it's not about overachieving or outdoing others. It's being confident in your ability and what you bring to the table. And so I think confidence is definitely key. And so we start instilling that at a young age. And then it's not that having to be, I got to overachieve. I got to, do this. Is I'm confident in my abilities and what I bring to the table. So I definitely agree with that. Let me see. I think that might be, you got some whole bunch of Go Jordans and hey there and some other great things. And so let's get to the fun facts. We want to know, we talked about Jordyn the STEMsation, but let's talk about Jordyn the person, Jordyn that people, your friends and your family know. Let's get into some fun facts about you. And when I read this, I was like, okay, go girl. I like it because one of the things that you're going to talk about is out of the norm. I'm like, a Black girl wants to learn to do that. Like, I'm so excited. Like, we're about to represent in all areas and fields. So go ahead, Jordyn.
So I guess outside of STEM, there's a lot that I try to get into. I've recently kind of picked up boxing. A way to work out because I hate running, but I heard boxing is great cardio. I've always wanted to learn a martial arts. So I figured I'd go for it. And I'm really enjoying that, but I also just work out in general, lifting weights and things of that nature. I've gotten into cooking recently, so I'm learning new recipes and different techniques almost every day, and I'm a huge foodie, so if I'm not cooking, I'm at somebody's restaurant trying new foods, and I try to take pictures of excuse me, everything I like. So with that, I've been running a food blog on Instagram.
Let's shout it out. Go ahead, shout it out.
JDBug Eats, JDBUG_Eats, EATS. And yeah, it's just any food that I've liked, any food, it's all the food that I've eaten. So I don't put up anything that I haven't eaten and I didn't enjoy. And I shout out other people who cook. I put up my own food that I cook. So that's been fun. I've only been running that about a month or two. That's been a lot of fun. And then I've also been trying to teach myself how to skateboard, and that hasn't been as successful as the other.
I'm like, skateboarding, wow, but that's great. That's great. So what's the most difficult about learning how to skateboard? Because that's something I would never. I look at a skateboard and like, no, I definitely can't do that. So
I've always wanted to learn. Like I see people on skateboards, I'm like, that looks awesome. I wish I knew how to do that. And as I've been learning, I guess the hardest part is realizing that when a lot of people start, they're a lot younger than I am trying to start. So you're a little bit more resilient, I guess. You can bounce back a little bit more when you fall. And I mean, I'm only 22, so it's not like.
Oh, you're a baby.
It's not terrible, but like you're a lot more. It's easier to take risks, I guess, when you're younger. And now I'm like, oh, I don't want to fall and break my arm, I guess. But when you're like, nah, I learned how to skateboard. I'm gonna break an arm, I'll get a cast. We'll do this again later. I'm not thinking like that. So I guess
that's true. About the pain. You're like, yeah.
Yeah, that's been the hardest part. Really trying not to fall, but understanding that the best way to learn is you don't fall a couple times. So.
Yes. And that's in life. You
Yeah.
got to take risks. And that's what I'm learning just even starting this business, that you're going to fall, but those who take risks get the greatest reward. So there you go. We do have some questions that came in, and I want to answer those before we get into the family influence, which I know is dear to your heart. Regina Smith says, have you sought out a mentor to help you move forward in your current position, I'm assuming, in your career?
Well, shout out to my mom, because that's who that is. But
Hey, Mom. All right. You raised a great daughter. She's awesome. She's awesome.
I haven't found a mentor yet, but that is one of the goals that I do have as I move forward in my career. I had a mentor in my internship last year. I interned with Microsoft last year, and I wanted to reconnect with her. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find her again. But I do want to get another mentor as I move forward.
And I think we all, whether we're in STEM or whatever professional, we do need mentors, because they just kind of, you can run things by them and they've been through it, and so they can help you see. Because I'm actually looking for like a business mentor that's kind of doing what I'm doing, but has done it better, and stop me from following the same pitfalls. Like, hey, don't do that, do this. And so whatever aspect of your life, mentors are definitely great resources. Okay, we have a couple more questions. One of our former STEMsations that I definitely need to get on camera, Tangelica, Miss Tangi Duplessis. She says, in your position, are you able to bring in other people of color?
I'm not nearly high enough to pull people in directly, but I always try to spread the opportunities that I hear about with people in my peer group, especially people of color. I'm doing this almost all the time. I mean, so many different group chats and circles, friend groups, and everything. So whenever I hear about something, there's an opportunity in X, Y, and Z, I try to make sure I blast those. That way they can stay on top of it just like everybody else can.
Well, that's great. And that's something, too, I wanted to start, like some type of scholarship board and some kind of job opportunity board with our STEMsations, that because we don't know everything, and we could just see stuff scrolling in Facebook and we might share it, but I want to have it somewhere where it's a great resource to our STEMsations that are coming up and our STEMsations that maybe want to do career changes and different job opportunities. We have one more question, and it's from Nate Washington. That is my husband. He is he's all about this financial and being about your finances. Mm-hmm. So he just wants to know, have you created a budget for all the big money you're making, especially at a young age of being 22? This is something, especially in the African American community, that we have not been educated on how to invest our money, how to invest in life insurance, like how to use these things to grow and help us. We always looked at them as an afterthought. Like, once we pay all our bills, then we'll pay for this. But I think as we've been going on now, we see that it's very important. So as you being 22, a great professional, just getting started off in your career, how do you manage your money, and do you have a budget, and do you see a financial advisor?
Yeah, I do have a budget, and I try my best to stick to it, although I'm not as honest as I should be. But aside from that, coming into this new position, this is an amount of money that I've never made before, so that was kind of weird to wrap my head around. And for me, it was important to find an advisor, or at least someone to talk to every now and then about how I can manage my money better. I'm actually talking to some people now who are helping me with that and talking to me about life insurance and other ways to invest outside of just stocks. And that's something my parents are actually pretty. They stressed when we were kids too, is making sure that you invest and save your money and budget. And I kind of go to my dad when it comes to things like this, because he's been very good about it. I've been blessed in that regard. Yeah. Anything that's completely over my head, but I do need help in trying to manage the amounts more than anything.
Oh, girl, she bringing in the money. Yes, ching ching, secure that bag. Okay. I like that. Your mom said, "Good question, Nate. Parents are all over that with her, and that's great. And that's what we need, more parents to take. And now your daughter, you've been, encouraging her to be successful. But sometimes once they get that bag, secure the bag, or get that big paycheck, we kind of leave them at that. And it's like, okay, but we really need to help. And even like professional athletes and different people, we see that they can make all these millions and then they go broke within a couple of years. We as a community really need to get back into trying to hone in our money and trying to use it in a way that's going to be beneficial for not just our generation, but we got kids that's coming along, setting up some trust and different things that we didn't do in the past. But now, when you're educated more, you're supposed to do better. You know better, you do better. So that's a great question. I think those are the questions that we have that's in the query, but I know this is something that when I read this, I thought this was awesome. You have a really great family support and family influence. You can just see his mom has been on here asking questions and supporting. So we want to get to that question and more of a statement. How has your family influenced you to be the wonderful woman that you have been, that you are right now and that you're going to continue to be?
Yeah, so my family has just been it's the world to me. Honestly, everything that I do, I always try to go back and remember who brought me up to be the person that I am. So my parents, first off, my dad is like this huge gadget guy. Like he's always trying to stay up with the latest and greatest, and that's just something I've grown up with. So for me, it was easy to get into technology because of that. Like I've always had a computer in my room, like all the time. Like I just be on MS Paint. That's enough. Like the fact that it was in the room.
Right.
So yeah, he was a huge influence in that. And then both of my parents are just very much about supporting their kids in everything that we do. So I have two younger sisters, and all of us all have different passions. They kind of lie everywhere. One of them's in music, the other wants to get into veterinarianism. Obviously, I'm in STEM. And my parents have just been very supportive across the board. Like they make sure my sister had what she needed for her music. My other sister is able to get involved in veterinary medicine with some friends that we have in the industry. They supported me in STEM and like being able to go to all these different internships across the country. So I'm not at home, but they're like, no, Jordyn, that's okay. Do you go out and make your dreams come true? And that's been very helpful in all that we wanted to do, and obviously with myself. I know I always have their supporting and backing for whatever it is, and that's been very helpful.
Well, great job, family, and definitely, I know you mentioned one sister as a vet, going for veterinarian. We would love to talk with her as well, because we just want to show girls that you can have all type of interests, and you can go out there, and if you want to do this, you want to do that, it's okay. And sometimes you might start out in one direction. Like I said, I started out in electrical engineering, and I ended up being a science teacher, which I do look back and was like, I miss, but I feel like as long as I'm giving back to the next generation and then inspiring, encouraging others to go into those fields, that's all right. So I want them to see a wide array. Like we don't always have to be one particular one. And there's some stuff that they don't even realize to STEM. They're like, and so we definitely want to encourage others. And so that leads us to one of our last questions, and you kind of mentioned this. How do you see yourself giving back?
Well, like I said, I do want to get involved in some kind of mentorship. Like you said, mentorship is very important, and just having somebody hold you accountable and making sure that you're able to be successful like you want to be, and letting you know areas or where things to avoid, things that you should be doing based off their own experiences. And that's been beneficial for me in the past, and I want to extend that to other girls moving forward as well. And then additionally, I always try to encourage young girls to get into STEM, or at the very least, don't just knock it out as an opportunity. Like, for example, I have a younger cousin who's like all about princesses and pink and unicorns. It's great because she's 4. I'm like, you go ahead and have that. But I also want to make sure that, there's other things that are out there. So, like, Christmas this year, I'm getting her Legos. I'm like, best way to get started. You start building stuff. Boom, you're an engineer already. You don't even know it. So just little things like that, I always try to push.
Yeah, because I just know we were just, Nyla and I, my daughter, who's 3, just turned 4 rather, we were just in an event and we were selling her activity books. But I had a section there where she was playing Jenga, and she didn't realize that she was building and learning about the foundation. And if she moved one block, they all fall down. And so she learned the hard way. And then when they stayed up, she was excited. And then we did like a Christmas tree gumdrop build. And so she was building a Christmas tree with gumdrops and toothpicks. And so at 4, she's learning that you know, you don't have to say this is engineering because they don't know what that is. But she was using problem solving, critical thinking skills to actually make a Christmas tree. And then when it wasn't working, she got frustrated, but she kept trying it. Like you said, we're developing those skills now. So because as a science teacher, and then like Miss Duplessis, who's a math teacher, who's I want to shout out to, who's like one of the only African American female math teachers in the district that I was working in. You know, we would see that and we would like, we get them in high school and middle school and then they're turned off. I can't do math. Yes, you can. Yeah. You just never, you know, gave yourself a chance and no one has encouraged you. And you never saw anybody that looks like you doing it successfully. And that's what we want to change and stuff. So, well, I think this has been great. You have been an awesome first Spotlight STEMsation Live. So thank you, Jordyn. And you had wonderful people that called, I'm going to say call in, but sent in comments and stuff. So I just want to know, did you have any last words, anything, you know, anybody you want to thank, anyone, you know, you want to, this is your time. It's all about you. We're spotlighting Jordyn.
I guess I just want to thank my family, really, for getting me to this point, and obviously their love and support. As you said, they're here now, so they're always backing me up, and I just want to thank them for all of that. Of course, all things go to God as well.
Yes, yes.
I do.
Yes, I'm hard just to take that. Well, I just want to say thank you guys for everyone that's tuning in. Like I said, I am the CEO and founder of Nyla Dene Enterprises, which once I had my daughter Nyla, I wanted to see, I had sons before, but I definitely wanted to help her in this world where there are a lack of women of color, there's lack of representation in the STEM fields. And whether she goes in the STEM fields or not, I definitely want her to have those skills so she has that choice and that opportunity. I don't want her to get in middle school and be like, I can't do math, I can't do this. And so just to give me a little shameless plug, we have set up an activity book, which you can find on nyladene.com, which starts with preschool. And so for our 2 to 5 year old STEMsations, where it's an activity book where they can do mazes and they learn STEM words like goggles and lab and, you know, start exposing to those words now because you believe she's on YouTube learning stuff that I may not want her to learn. So I'm definitely going to be intentional about the things that I want her to learn. And whether she goes into STEM fields or not, she's going to have that opportunity. She's going to be able to be sitting at that table and being prepared like we talked about. So we just want to thank you guys. We got a lot of people out here, Belinda, Rashid, Regina tuning in, Nate, TNG. And I definitely want to thank Brandy, who's behind the scenes, that's my virtual assistant, my social media marketing person, who's also, she has been uploading the link. So make sure you guys check out the link to STEMsation Spotlight, Jordyn Smith. Jordyn Smith. If you have not read about her, make sure you go and read about her and leave a comment on there as well, because she can see those comments and other people that go to the website to read about her, they can read those comments as well of how wonderful she is. And we're always looking for new STEMsations to spotlight. So if you know of anyone, please let us know. You can either email us at info@nyladene.com, or you can find us on Instagram. That's how we found Jordyn, and all the wonderful things she was doing by Nyla Dene. And so we just want to thank everyone, especially giving up your Sunday evening to tune in with us. But I think it's a worthwhile cause, and we want to make sure that we're inspiring and encouraging the generation behind us. So we want to thank you guys. Thank you, Jordyn, for being here. This was awesome. We're going to save it, upload it, and we definitely want to make sure you have a copy to use, you know, for other things. And we want to definitely keep in touch with you because you are just a great source and you are just doing wonderful things. Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and end the broadcast, but feel free to share this with someone that you think this would help, or just share with someone because you never know what people have and who they know that will benefit from this. Thank you, guys. Have a great Sunday. Get ready for Monday, Motivation Monday. We're going to have motivation. We're not going to dread Mondays. We're going to be motivated because we're making a difference. Thank you, guys. All right.